hope that you can see me. Okay, cool. All right, so in today's live, I wanted to talk about something that I recently heard Dr. K talk about. If you don't know who Dr. K is, he's a Harvard psychiatrist. And he's a Harvard psychiatrist that does a lot of research around addiction, and he founded The Healthy Gamer. He also has a YouTube channel. But I think that what he shared in the particular video that I recently saw of him is very telling, and something that I see as a resistance or hindrance for a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I'm actually going to just give me a second to do something. Hold on. One second. I'm new to going live on the phone. Hold on. Okay. So what he shared in his video was basically that trying to be efficient is one of the most wrong things that you can do. And when we look at what is the number one trait that will give you the most unfair advantage in business and in life, it's to know yourself. So going back to what he shared in this video, I think that it's super powerful. So just kind of let me unravel it. He shared that our ancestors, like the way that our brains evolved to be and how they were, we used to spend a lot of time in our own thoughts. So really think about what humans used to do like thousands of years ago, let's say. We would fish, we would hunt, we would gather plants all day. And even during those tasks, we weren't entertained. So if we do something like walk today, we are listening to a podcast, we have music, there's information. But back then, there was no music, there's no podcast, there's no information other than your own thoughts and being with yourself that you could have during those tasks. And then what would happen? You would have to walk hours to go to the village, and you would also be with yourself. So what he was sharing was that we used to spend so much time with ourselves, getting to know ourselves in our own thoughts. And he shares that that's the reason why today a lot of people feel like they don't know themselves. You ask someone, what do you want from life? What type of business do you want to build? What's your vision for your future? They have no idea what it is that they want. And he shares the example for his personal story that when he was in medical school, and think about it, when you wake up in the morning, what do? You go to work, what do? You work out, what do? There's some type of information. For him, he wakes up in the morning, he was in medical school, he would listen to a podcast. Then he would have to talk to people on the phone. Then he's in the shower listening to music, going to the gym, listening to music, on the train, listening to a lecture, in class, reading a book. Zero time alone with himself, right? And so, yeah. And like our ancestors probably spent how much time alone with themselves? You look, 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, 8 hours of what? Being with themselves. And do you spend even 8 minutes with yourself? Thinking. No? Right. So, oh my gosh. So, the point is that if you want to actually get to know yourself better, know what you want out of your life with the limited amount of time that you have, whatever time that is, I don't know. You want to make an intention to spend more time with yourself without any information, One of the easiest ways to do this, and it'll be the challenge for the week, is you want to at least do like an 8 to 10 minute walk. No podcast, no music, no nothing. It's just you and your thoughts. And if you find yourself having a difficult time doing that, then it goes to show like how addicted you are to just information and looking for answers outside of yourself instead of getting to know yourself and looking for answers inside. And you'd be surprised that sometimes some people that you may think are successful, you may think have the answers, but when you sit down with them and you're like, well, what's the next step? They may have almost trapped themselves in a life or in a business that they never actually wanted. And then they're wondering, well, why do I feel so drained when I wake up in the morning? Why do I feel so drained talking to these people? Why don't I enjoy the clients that I serve? And it's because you probably want none of these things to begin with, and you don't know what you want because you don't spend any time getting to know yourself. Right? So yeah, so NCX group security, a 20-minute walk with just yourself is freeing. Another thing you could do if walking is boring or you live in an area where maybe it's not safe to walk is come up with a hobby that doesn't require a lot of focus. So it could just be like watercolor, right? It's kind of just, you're doing the motions, but it's more of like a passive task, and you could be in your head a lot during that task. Gardening, the same thing. For me, I like to garden. But I think especially if you're building a business or if you're an entrepreneur, you can get caught in this trap of everything that I do has to be productive. Every moment of the day has to be efficient. And even when you're just walking, even when you have 20 minutes in between a meeting, you have to watch the next podcast. You have to listen to the next thing. And I think that that's pretty dangerous. When I'm outside, I let God talk to me and show me new things. Absolutely. I'm outside right now. I'm surrounded by oak trees. Walk around a little bit. And I'm not, listen, like I've built a huge brand on social media. I have 1 million followers on LinkedIn. And there is a vast input of information. The less time you'll get to build that self-awareness. And when you're looking at people that build a business that also provides them joy, when you look at people that build a personal brand that does the same thing, a lot of the times you're looking at someone who has a higher level of self-awareness than the average person, and usually that just comes from some level of solitude. Who here is an entrepreneur or wants to build a business one day? Just curious. NCX group security. What do you do? I mean, I see your security stuff, but who do you serve? What's up, Kizzy? Kizzy, I can't add people, right? Do you want to come on and... Oh, no, I can't add. I think I'd have to start a new live. But share in the chat how you may spend some passive time getting to know yourself, if you even do at all. And kind of audit your day and think about how much time do you actually just... And I'm not talking about meditation, because that's kind of another task. How much time do you just be with yourself? Like someone said earlier, 20-minute walk, no phone, no nothing, no music. It could be 20 minutes of gardening. It could be an 8-minute walk. And this is why people say, oh, the best ideas come in the shower. Well, it's because for most people, that's the only 10 minutes or 20, 25 minutes of the day that they are not doing anything else other than closing their eyes and, just thinking. Journal. Andrea's hiding all the... That's funny. Journal. And you should definitely go watch Dr. K's video. His name is Dr. K, Dr. Alec Kanogia. This is, when he just shared that, it just made perfect sense. And there's like a second level to this, by the way. It is depressing. Somebody said that's depressing. It is. It's actually, like, think about it. How many people in your life, if you were like, do you live a life full of like fulfillment? Do you know what you want out of life? Most people are not like that. Most people are barely holding on, barely surviving. And it's because all of their attention is outward, taking care of other people, putting their energy into a job that they don't necessarily enjoy, then scrolling hours before they go to sleep on social media. All of their energy is drained. And when they're like, well, what are my goals? They wonder why they don't have any clarity. And when you look at, he also mentions this because this psychiatrist is an actual researcher for Harvard, and he does a lot of research even with addiction and stuff. And he says that when they look at the data of who actually, changes their life and goes into a phase of non-addiction, actually, stops using drugs for a long period of time, most of those people do not do it with formal rehab. It's a change inside of them where they wake up and they say enough is enough. But again, a lot of those answers come from within them. And even meditation has turned into another task for some people where they're focused, again, on an outside thing versus just being with their own thoughts. So that's the challenge. Like, when people may be wanting to change their life and they may ask themselves, well, what can I do to be the top 10% or to be part of the top 1%? Well, do what the 99% don't do. And part of what the 99% don't do is this. All of their time is filled with things outside of themselves. Make at least 8 minutes a day for something like this. And boredom is unfamiliar, correct. So a lot of people are afraid of boredom. Why? Because it forces you to, think. And when it comes to, like, when you think about who's going to have the greater chance of success, someone that starts a business and really knows themselves, knows what their strengths and weaknesses are, knows exactly what they want to do, or someone that just sees something online and just starts something randomly, who's going to stick with it? What person's going to have a more fulfilling life? The person that knows themselves, knows the decisions they need to make, or the person that doesn't? What person is going to buy things that are not going to do them any good, or just, fall for the next thing? It's a person that doesn't know themselves. And a lot of these companies know that, by the way. We won't get into that today. That's a different live. I don't think that people don't want to not think. I just think that people are not taught to think. And I think that critical thinking is one of the most valuable skills. And I think that's what Andrea said earlier. People don't know necessarily how to be bored. So that's the challenge. You want to be you want to change your life, then you could change, anyone can change that. It's 8 minutes a day. And yeah, it'll be boring and you'll be like, this feels weird, where's my phone? But eventually, maybe you'll get that great idea that could lead to the next great thing in your life. Yeah, people are not taught how to think, and I don't think it's anyone else's fault. It's because it's kind of a generational thing. You know, if your parents were just struggling to pay bills, struggling to survive, their focus and their attention is in survival mode. They're not going to have time to learn how to think, and so the cycle just continues. But I think that you could break that cycle if that's where you are. Who here's an entrepreneur? I'm just wondering. And how did you find the channel? Were you a subscriber? I'm new to YouTube, so I don't know how the live algorithm, you know, we've been posting for like 6 months, but kind of just started going live. And if you're someone that really wants to learn how to think, I'll put yes in the chat if you want to know my favorite book. It'll be the book that will probably help you most in your life and business, and it has nothing to do with business. Put yes in the chat if you want the book. This book is probably, I would say, the handbook of what you need to succeed in life. Okay, so get a notebook or just remember it, because I don't know if the replay will still be here. So the book is called The Laws of Human Nature. The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. It's about this thick, and you could probably read it like 10 to 12 times and gather an amazing lesson every single time. But what that book will teach you is that a lot of people will go through their life and they'll say, oh, think about it. Think about the stories that you've heard. People will be like, oh, my life was destroyed because of this divorce, or because this person did this to me, or this person betrayed me, or whatever. And usually the story that people will kind of tell themselves is that was like a one-time thing that got over on them, or they didn't see it coming. There was no indication that that other person was going to do that thing. They acted out of place. But a lot of the times there's like patterns. And if you knew that person, if you were able to see in advance what type of person that person really was, then you wouldn't have been in this situation. So what that book will teach you is like how to observe, how to really look between the lines, and that's why it's called The Laws of Human Nature. Shankar says Shanae's Bible. No, the Bible is still before that, but it's definitely, I highly recommend it for anyone that really wants to change their life, especially if you're a business owner. Because part of being a successful business owner is choosing the right partners, choosing the right people to collaborate with, choosing the right clients to work with. It could mean the difference between success and ruin. So it's your outcome. Yes, part-time entrepreneurial, full-time employee, making that transition. Awesome. Found you on LinkedIn. Okay, cool. All right, it's your outcome. What type of business are you going to go into? Yeah, the Bible. See, so the Bible is definitely before that, right? But it's the unexpected answer. It better be there. What better be there? And if you see Shankar, Kizzy, Andrea in the chat, those are all entrepreneurs that you should also subscribe to, follow their content. Because also part of leveling up in life is just learning from other people and, gaining proximity to them. What's one book, put in the chat one book that really changed your life other than maybe the Bible. BD, how did you find the channel? I'm curious. The other thing that I'd say that if there was another thing just to share for this evening that could potentially change your life is just curiosity. Just ask questions and just show up. Like, this is probably going on the second week that I'm going live. And for me, I could go live on LinkedIn anytime, have over 100 people. That's easy. So it's actually amazing for me to be a beginner again. It feels really cool. YouTube. Okay, you found me on YouTube. I love that. Were you searching for LinkedIn stuff or just random? Art of War. I love that book. Inclusive leadership coaching. Yeah, you should definitely follow Kizzy. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's the book that Shankar recommends. You could hear the crickets. And whatever questions you have, you could put in the chat. I know I usually talk about personal branding and LinkedIn, and you may be, well, what does this have to do with that? Actually, it has a lot to do with it. I've seen people completely transform, where they go from creating content about something that they don't really want to talk about, they're really not passionate about, to creating content that's aligned with what they really want. And they will grow. They will skyrocket because you can't fake that in your content. People will say, oh, your story is everything. Your story is your personal brand. But that's only one part of it. It's your energy. Because and you'll read this in the laws of human nature, we think that we don't, some people aren't really aware that they can sense energy. But what happens if someone, like, let's say you live with your family, and what happens when one person has a terrible day and walks through the door? Tell me what happens. Put it in the chat. What happens when one person has a bad day and they walk through the door? How to win friends and influence people is good too. Good to great. That's great. I'm waiting for someone to answer. We all know what happens, but let's see who will say it. What happens? So when someone, and it could be at work too. If someone just has a really bad day, it's contagious, right? So they walk through the door, and then like everyone can feel like, whoa, then what will happen? Usually someone else will catch an attitude, and that person will walk in with a bad energy. You know, they had a terrible day, walk through the door. And then let's say now person B feels their bad energy and then takes it out on person C, or goes to work and then gives people there an attitude, right? So like your energy, whether you realize it or not, this is just brain science, is contagious. And so when you are making decisions that make yourself proud at the end of the day and that are really aligned with what you want, then your vibe attracts your tribe. And then it goes to positive. You'll get better clients for your business. You'll start having more energy to give to your business, to your family, to your mission. When people wake up in the morning year after year and they feel exhausted, they would probably feel, that's why people feel excited for vacation, because it's something that they're actually excited about. People will go years feeling exhausted, waking up at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning for work. But if they had to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning for a vacation, all of their energy magically appears because it's something that they want to do. So energy is your greatest advantage in life and in business. This is, again, proven by a bunch of research. People that smile, people that open doors, people that say thank you, people that say hello and are just positive. They did a research study on luck, and they found that, yes, luck exists. And the people that are the luckiest are also the people that are the happiest. They open the door, they smile, they say hello to strangers. And what does that do? They have more touch points with people, which leads to more opportunity. But you can't understand what it is that you want if you don't start to understand yourself. And it's very difficult to understand yourself at the level that you need to understand yourself if you don't start to spend time with yourself. And all you have to do is ask, would you have a greater chance of success and joy and fulfillment in life if you spent just 8 minutes with yourself and your thoughts every day, whether that's 8 minutes of walking or gardening? And that's the question that you need to answer. God bless you, everyone. Ciao.